Hello everyone and welcome back to this Football Manager 2017 experiment where we take a look at what would happen if you gave the Belgian Pro League £1.6 billion every year. Now you can see at the moment we're in the year 2040, we've gone forward quite a long time and the league title is really switching around across a lot of teams. And I know a few of you commented saying that maybe that competitiveness is the reason that Belgian teams aren't doing that well in Europe, because too many teams are winning the title and there's not one team dominating. But the Belgian league is now up to third place in the competition reputation rankings. They were fourth, dropped down to fifth and have since bounced back up to third after some good runs in Europe, and I'm hoping they can get a few more of those going and hold on to that third place position, because that means more teams in the Champions League, more chances of European success. Now today we're going to go forward about 10 years. We're also going to investigate the Anderlecht problem. I'll do that first so that everybody can see what's going on, because a few people are very confused, just like I am, about why they're really struggling to kick on. But we are going to go ahead in time 5 years, then another 5 years, to see how the teams are developing and if they can finally win a European competition. But the first thing we're going to do is actually become manager of Anderlecht, because this downward spiral they're suffering is absolutely bemusing, because we just don't know where the money is going. Apparently you can't short take over a club anymore, so I think I'm going to have to come back in just a second. Well, I am now manager of Anderlecht, which means we will finally be able to have a look at what is causing this huge downward spiral down the league table, finishing as champions in the first few years of this experiment, with them really falling down and now down as 11th, 10th place. If we have a look at the finances screen, you can see the money is not going above £30 million, so the answer should be pretty obvious already. And when we click the income screen and have a look at last season, you can see the most income was actually players sold. Sponsorship just £16 million, prize money £10 million, and money from the Belgian Pro League just £3.5 million, TV revenue just £1.2 million. So you can see where the problem is. They were not assigned their £100 million a year, which means up to this point the club has missed out, just in a bit of mental maths, they've missed out on 2.4 billion pounds of cash, which might explain why they're not signing any players. That is entirely my fault. And those few Anderlecht fans I do have in the audience, I can only apologise. But given you've been doing all right in Belgian football recently, it's not the end of the world that you won't succeed in this experiment. And it also does mean that we have a benchmark under which to take a look at the Belgian Pro League as it goes forward. And you can see they have started to drop down the league tables, but before that they weren't doing that badly. It's only the last 5 years they've really struggled, and before that up in fifth in the championship group quite often, but they have been struggling for a little while now. This was the time they were doing very well, just after being champions, but it's sort of fallen apart since then. They won 4 titles, finished fourth, and then had a few second place finishes before really falling apart. But they are the benchmark for this experiment. It'll be interesting to see how long it takes for them to possibly get relegated. But let's go forward in time. We're going to skip 5 years ahead and then we'll go 5 more and see how the teams are getting on in the league and in Europe. We are now 5 years into the future. This is where we left off in the Belgian league, with Standard Liège as champions and deserved champions as well. Club Brugge falling some way behind, 10 points behind them in the regular season. And in the first year since then, Standard actually reclaimed their title despite finishing 7 points behind Mechelen. Club Brugge in second place, but Liège winning that championship group to retain the title for another year. The following season Mechelen got some revenge. The second year in a row that the third place team in the regular season has won the eventual title. Club Brugge did finish top but weren't able to see it out in the championship group. In the 42-43 season though, they more than did the job. 15 points clear at the end of the regular season, and after the championship group they were 16 points clear, so deserved winners of the title. The following year, Mechelen again won their title. Club Brugge and Standard both missing out. Just 3 points separate the top 3 teams. They are undoubtedly the 3 biggest teams in Belgian football at this point. And in the final season, Club Brugge winning the title right at the top there, well clear of Standard Liège and Mechelen, and still a bit of a gap between those 3 teams and the rest. Anderlecht finishing solidly mid-table just about every year now, which is quite good given they're missing out on so much money. But the Belgian league has declined down to 6th place now. From a high of 3rd down to 6th is not what you want to see, and it kind of gives us an inkling of what to expect going forward. But if we have a look at the transfers of the last few years and just the headline figures really, Club Brugge, £37 million transfer in there, and a few others at about £25-26 million. Mechelen spending a lot of money that we can see. Standard Liège not on the front screen, which is quite interesting. In the following year, they did go and spend the cash on Bonfan. Club Brugge in there with another couple of big signings. Mechelen putting a couple of decent ones in there as well. The following year, Club Brugge, the big spenders once again. Standard Liège back in with the checkbook. Club Brugge in there a few more times as well. Several of the biggest signings as they usually do. The following year, mostly players leaving. Westerlo getting the checkbook out. Wasland, Bavarian spending a bit of money as well. But mainly Club Brugge once more. And then this final season gone, it was Standard Liège who topped out of the Belgian teams. Mechelen in there with a couple. Club Brugge being a bit more sedate than usual. Just 2 transfers on the front screen. Mechelen really the big spenders, pushing out their checkbook to try and win the title. Now, one of the things that you guys did want to take a look at was the Belgian national team. So if we click on Belgium and have a look at its squad, because all this money would lead to a lot of foreign imports, but you can see they've got Mbombo, who is now at PSG, rated at £65 million. He looks incredible, 28 years old, actually started out at Club Brugge and then went to United for £24 million before then moving on to PSG for £50 million and getting some phenomenal returns. 8.15 is not a bad return whatsoever as an average rating over a season. And then a £40 million player, Keanu Lanertz, at Real Madrid, another great looking player. He started out at Mechelen and has since moved on. So you can see Belgium producing some top quality players, but they don't have that much strength in depth. A couple of real top end players, but the rest not really to the highest standard. Quite a few of them still in Belgium, but a lot of them now in other leagues around Europe. So the national team not doing that great. And if we look at their competition history, you can see they finished runners-up in the World Cup in 2022 when they had still their original golden generation, and then also finished runner-up in the European Championship 2 years later. So it's pretty much just heartbreak for them. Although they did win the European International League in 2027, we're still yet to see just how reputable that competition will be in the future because it hasn't been launched yet. But other than that, no real major trophies, which is a little bit disappointing. They're not using the money in the right way, and if anything, it is limiting the players going into the first team. Now, if we have a look at the European Champions League, you'll see no Belgian team in the past winners. So if we just jump straight to the stages screen, drop back to the 40-41 season, the first of this new series, and start out in the quarterfinals. You can see there's no Belgian team in there. If we look at the first knockout round, there were actually 3 Belgian teams in the last 16, all of them getting knocked out to the likes of Spurs, Atletico Madrid and PSG. The following year, 2 Belgian teams in there, Club Brugge and Standard Liège, both losing though, going out to Atletico Madrid and Benfica. The year after that, just Standard Liège in there, getting hammered 5-0 by Barcelona. And then Club Brugge in there again, Atletico Madrid beating them 5-0 on aggregate. And then this last year, Mechelen, the only team in there, beaten 5-1 by Atletico Madrid. So you could argue there was some progress there, but just really no real progression in the Champions League, which is the reason they've hurt their ranking position so much. Now in the Europa League, if we start with the second knockout round, you can see Club Brugge did get through, added Genk, but Genk went out to Arsenal, while Club Brugge actually beat Manchester United. In the quarterfinals, Club Brugge also beat Ajax, so 2 big teams knocked out by Club Brugge. And in the semi-final, they take out Roma as well to set up a final with Leverkusen, which they lose on penalties, and still no Belgian team has won a European competition, which is really frustrating. If we start at the quarterfinal stage next year, no, just 1 Belgian team in there, Mechelen losing to Spurs. The year after that, there were 3 in the quarterfinals: Wasland, Bavarian, Genk and Anderlecht. So Anderlecht still progressing even without the money. But at the semi-final stage, Manchester United knocking out Genk, The following year, just Genk in there, beaten by Napoli. The year after that, and the final year, Club Brugge and Standard Liège both making it into the semi-finals, where Club Brugge beat Inter, but Standard Liège went out to Leverkusen. So it was a repeat of the final of a few years ago, and this time Leverkusen did it in normal time. A 1-0 win means that still no Belgian team has won a European competition. Quite a few times Belgian teams have made the final. That's twice now for Club Brugge in 5 years. But whilst some Bavarian got there as well, STVV also made it to this stage of the competition. So that's 4 Belgian teams that have made the Europa League final, and still none of them have managed to get the win. So that is really, really frustrating that they haven't been able to break through at the final hurdle. But let's go forward 5 more years. We'll take a look at where the teams are in the league and in Europe. Here we are back with the Belgian League in the year 2050. So we've really been going a long time, and they've been getting an awful lot of money pumped in. So if they aren't doing it at this stage, I'm not sure when they ever will. Last time we left off, Club Brugge were the champions. The following year, they won it again despite finishing second in the regular season. The year after that, they won it for a 3rd time in a row, beating Standard Liège to it once more. And then they won it again, beating Kortrijk into 2nd place. Anderlecht down in 14th place, really flirting with relegation at this point. Just checking they haven't gone down at any point. The following year, Club Brugge again winning it by an even bigger margin. Really doing well at the top, and then this season they win it by a big margin again. So Club Brugge really the team pushing on and doing well. When we have a look at the transfer screen, just if we drop back to the 45-46 season, you can see Club Brugge didn't actually get even onto the top page here. It was other Belgian teams doing all of the running, but they still won the title without it. And then they returned to the big, spending probably another £100 million pumped into the club. The year after that, again, really throwing money at it. A few major transfers in there, one of up to £44 million, £30 million as well for Bembo Leto. Another possible £30 million signing in there. So much money going out. The year after that, again, really putting in probably £100 million into the transfers, and then this season again topping the list at the moment with the big transfers. They love spending money, this club, and it's led them win 5 consecutive Belgian titles. So if any team is doing well in Europe, it is gonna be them. They've now got a 65,000 seater stadium, which is something we should probably have a look at in this episode. But if we just quickly drop back through here, you can see the amount of money that is being pumped into the club. They had a couple of barren years, but other than that, they are just throwing money left, right and centre. If we have a look at the facilities of or rather the stadiums of this league, you can see there's a few teams now right up at the top in terms of stadiums. Genk, Standard Liège and Bruges all got 65,000 seater stadiums. Mechelen now at 51,000, STVV at 40,000, and even Anderlecht now at 32,000. I think they've expanded their stadium, but one of you might be able to correct me if I'm wrong on that. But it looks like they're doing a really, really good job of investing the money in the right places, certainly the big teams, which will help them in the future. If we have a quick look at the Belgian Cup, you can already see that Club Brugge have won it this year, but the past winners, still a very varied tournament. This is one of the good things about knockout tournaments, that all these teams are quite strong at this point. But Club Brugge did win it 3 years in a row. Few other teams come in, including Mouscron, but Club Brugge are the latest winners of this competition. And in the Belgian Super Cup, I imagine Club Brugge getting quite a few victories on this trophy. Bit intermittent, Mechelen doing reasonably well as well. Kortrijk had a little period of dominance, but mostly it just seems to go to Club Brugge at the moment, and whatever other team is getting into that match. Now the big competition we want to have a look at is the Champions Cup. If we have a look at the stages screen and drop back to the 45-46 season and then look at the first knockout round, we can see that there was just the one Belgian team in here, Club Brugge, losing to Dortmund. The year after that, again, just Club Brugge in there, losing to Chelsea. After that, Club Brugge again, losing to Atletico Madrid. The year after that, Club Brugge again losing to Chelsea. Really close that one, 3-2. And then finally, Mechelen did join Standard Liège in there. No Club Brugge, but both teams getting knocked out in the last 16. So that's quite disappointing. No Belgian team making the quarterfinals over 5 years. If we have a look at this competition though and drop back to the 45-46 season, maybe start at the quarterfinals this time. We can see 3 Belgian teams in the quarterfinals. Westerlo knocking out Standard Liège on penalties. Kortrijk also getting knocked out by Chelsea. At the semi-final stage, Westerlo did lose to Chelsea. The following year, 1 Belgian team in there, Mechelen, losing to Bayern, which is why their rankings will be taking a hit in the league sort of table for European clubs. Standard Liège did beat Everton to make it into the semi-finals, where they were then beating Roma 2-1 on aggregate. An excellent second leg. After losing the first leg 1-0, they went to Rome, won 2-0, put themselves in the final, and they beat Sevilla. A Belgian team has finally won a European competition. That will do them the world of good. It took extra time, but Standard Liège, the first Belgian team to win a European competition in this experiment. Now, if we just have a look at the last couple of years, you can see there were 4 Belgian teams in the quarterfinal, all playing, or rather 2 of them playing each other, but the other 2 playing on their own. Standard Liège into the semi-finals for the 2nd consecutive year. Westerlo losing to Marseille and Mechelen getting the better of Genk. In the semi-finals, Standard actually beat Marseille, but Arsenal beat Mechelen. Can they retain their Europa League? And they have. Standard Liège win at the Europa League 2 years in a row, beating Arsenal 2-0. They are the Sevilla of this series now, retaining the Europa League. Absolutely fantastic stuff. After waiting so long for a Belgian team to win a European competition, they win 2 in a row. And then the year after that, Club Brugge, the only team in the quarterfinals, and then making it into the semis, where they beat Lyon to set up another chance to win a Belgian club the Europa League, but they were beaten on penalties. Club Brugge so unlucky in this competition. They've made the final now 3 times, and at least twice they've gone out on penalties. Chelsea beating them this time, but Standard Liège have finally broken the curse around Belgian football, winning 2 titles in a row. And given how long this experiment's been going on, I can't believe it's taken them this long to do that. Really, really poor that the clubs haven't been able to kick on more than I thought, and Standard Liège haven't even won the title in quite some time. But now they've got the big stadiums, they're getting a different source of revenue in, so it's all about whether they can climb up these league rankings, and they are, after some good European results, up to 3rd in the league rankings again. But they need that Champions League progression if they're going to hold on to that position. But that is going to be it for this experiment. Now, I'm not sure whether to do another part for this one. If you guys would like to see another part, do drop a like on the video. Let me know how long you would like me to go forward. I think if I do another part, I'm just going to let the game run, maybe go 15 plus years into the future. But yeah, drop a like on the video if you'd like to see that happen. Otherwise, I'll end the experiment here. Make sure to subscribe as well if you want to see the next parts of this or the next experiment when it comes up in a couple of days' time. But until next time, see ya.